So, dealt out some more cards. I didn't deal out both columns because chances are it's going to be over before then. Mexican-American Reciprocity Treaty came up. The president, Fall, can veto that if he wishes, but he doesn't want to because he's got more property than anyone else. So he's going to take advantage. It's going to raise the value of the land itself by one for each summer. And it also would increase gold and silver, but nobody's dealing in that crap now. And the joy just continues. There's a big earthquake along the Colorado River. All the bridges got wiped out. The police there have been reduced until those police are back up, along with these other ones. There's no investor income. We've pretty much written off that ever happening this game. What else happened? Oh, yeah. President Fall sponsored a railroad. He spent his buck on it. He's not seeing anything worth buying. It services the Empire Ranch. It'll improve his values. I hope that's his. And there it is. The other thing I thought about is, so victory conditions isn't just cash that you squirrel away. Cash that you still have is good too. And cards that you have can be good too. All the C cards and all the railroad cards are worth $1 each, even if you haven't fully capitalized them. So it's not quite as those $3 Chowdhury has aren't quite as good as they might look. So it's not that much like Junta. The appointment to governor of Sonora would be available. The only person who could take it, well, the only people, Terrazos, who can't, he's kind of in jail, and Van Rietlen, who doesn't really have the money to do it anyhow. It would be cool because it would revitalize the troops, I believe, but it's not, I don't know. If he ran, he would be running down a die, and that's it. It might be worth it just for the luck. If he could do it, he could screw with Falls Ranch down here. That's about the only advantage. It's not going to help him win the game. It might be worth it, though. So Van Rietlen has been elected governor of Sonora. At the same time, President Fall, who didn't actually oppose him, his election, could have thrown some money in, but he's not really worried about. He's more worried about what he loses in losing the election than losing this ranch and whatever money is on it. But he went on a spending spree with his own cash to start to invest in 2 rail lines and a steamboat line that services along the coast. He'll try to have the government fund that. Kind of wants to hold his election position, though, in order to do so. On the other hand, we haven't taken care of the military effects in the summer, so we could well see attacks at the very least and additional actions being taken. Van Rietlen was able to pull in some nice tax money, not only the $2 that he could steal off of the ranch, but also he went up and took a couple bucks off those 2 railroads, Terrazos's and again Falls, which really cuts into Falls's money. Now he could have taken one more buck off that ranch, except he didn't have enough troops to carry it all. So Fall managed to win the election. He spent $2 on it. Nobody spent against him, even though it's big money in terms of his side. He only had a +2 bonus, and it seemed worth risking if he could lose. That's cool. It was actually a very close election. They ended up both at 20 plus the 2 gold that Fall spent. So he won a tight election, and he's still going to be president. Winter 1909, Lords of Sierra Madre. The card for the quarter is some Yankee Broncos. No one has money to bid except for our erstwhile German governor of the Sonora, von Rittlen, and he's going to. He wants them in order to basically destroy or threaten to destroy property that's owned by Albert Fall. Taxing the property is not going to make up for their difference. So making sure that he can't survive inside inside Sonora seems like a reasonable option. Come to spring 1909, and the Yankees are in position to start burning that ranch or slave plantation. Fall and von Rittlen are coming to an agreement. Fall will give up the plantation, which is von Rittlen's original anyhow. In exchange, von Rittlen will not abuse his gubernatorial powers in Sonora against Fall in any further ways. That includes letting his own bandits attack. And likewise, President Fall will not abuse von Rittlen's investments, if there are ever any, in the United States. Seems like a fair deal. In addition, von Rittlen's going to pay 2 gold to Fall. Here we are in the summer of '09, and the governorship of the new state of Arizona is up for sale. Election. General Greene is going to stand against Kibbe, who's the default leader. Fall was considering trying to support one of his own, actually Kibbe at leadership 3 with the Arizona Rangers, as territorial governor or whatever, but without Fall's support he only has leadership 2 or something like that, whatever we want to say. Other than that, we may see some purchases. Von Rittlen is considering building Railroad 24, which, if he pays $1.04, he can subsidize the capitalization on it, and Fall may have some additional properties that he can purchase as well. Given that he's going to be president for a while, he might as well. So General Greene indeed won the election rather easily, and that gives him both the Arizona National Guard and the Arizona Rangers. It makes him a power in Arizona, and he and Fall are trying to come to some sort of agreement, because the way the situation is, he's now something of a threat to Fall, and if Fall doesn't deal with him, there could be a conceivable problem there. At the same time, von Rittlen is toying with the idea of purchasing either the police or the cavalry unit here, neither of which Fall has been willing to properly invest in. I'm not sure where those negotiations are going right now. I'll give you a breakdown if we hit the tactical rounds. So, Greene is unable to tax President Fall's properties. As a governor, he can't levy a tax. The president can do that. However, he could release dantrazos, which would be an unpleasant thing for the president. On the other hand, von Rittlen was working on a deal of that sort involving releasing the banditos and using his own, along with dantrazos' banditos, to ship an attack against fall in Arizona, which Green is willing to ignore. The president heads this off, cutting a quick deal with Green. Look, I will leave you alone. Don't let him out. Don't help them. But that puts us in a position where von Rittlen is considering whether or not to essentially either break his deal with the president, which might be an unpleasant situation, or to support attacks on the president. I'm going to make a quick roll because it's so late in the game. Von Rittlen decides to keep his word, more or less. He's not going to violate. Without the aid of everyone else, he's not going to try to take Fall down. Right now, he's producing at least as much money as Fall, although he doesn't have the property background. He doesn't have all these railroads, for example, that Fall's been building. But another summer comes by, he might be ahead in the end. So he's going to hold off. In the autumn of 1909, von Rittlen drew, well, the card that came up was this mine. Von Rittlen decided to invest in it, even though it means he's going to be paying an extra gold every season. The reason is he sees that only a long game gives him a shot, and the extra money that a good mine would make is worth it. So he's going to go for it. Yet another Sonoran mine is coming up, and von Rittlen is going to buy this one too. It's going to be a tight squeeze, but the money that he puts into these is well worth it. Nobody's going to hook up lumber railways or the like because they just don't have a promise of safety that they can trust. Here we are, spring of '09, and there's an interesting card up. Diaz subsidizes the construction of Mexican railways. What this is going to be is all capitalization costs for any new rail starts this, well, one per player, this turn will be free. Alternatively, a player can say, I want to capitalize the one I have under construction. Von Rittlen has to decide whether or not he wants a second railway, whether he wants to pay all this or get the bonus from, say, hooking up one of his mines that he's got planned. He's probably going to go for the higher risk option and actually buy another railway. On the other hand, the other players might as well invest a buck, even if they don't make money off the railroad. At the very least, the railroad will be worth the dollar that they spend on it.